Another Friday Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind. Today, on today's call, you've got myself, obviously. We've got Jen Duplessis. What's up, Jen?
Hey.
And my partner in crime and co-host, Todd Wixman.
Good to be here. Whoa, look at that, how tricky we are. Look at that.
Aren't we?
Yes, that was awesome. We should try that more often.
Yeah. So we're at Sales Mastery 2017. We are broadcasting live at San Diego. We both, Todd's here evangelizing the Win by Noon mission and revolution. So he's got a better room than me. Don't ask me how that happened.
Just saying, it's nice.
Yeah, I think he's probably paying less and he got a better room. So I need to upgrade my my skills.
You were sleeping.
Authority. Your authority.
What's that, Jen?
Upgrade your authority.
I don't know, man. I don't know how it happened, but it did. But we both got great suites. We've had a lot of amazing mortgage leaders in our room. We have both got to sneak in and see some of the sessions. So no doubt one topic will be takeaways from Sales Mastery 2017. Although we're going to try to get a guest here next week. And since a lot of you, I think we had about 30 people at our happy hour.
That was awesome.
Yeah, so at least 30 productivity mastermind folks were here, and we hosted we said we were going to pay for the first round. That didn't work.
Got a little out of control.
Yeah, either one of us
for a 1 hour get together.
Yeah, so
it is the mortgage business.
Yeah. What were we thinking? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, no, but it was fun. It was a lot of amazing people. We want to make sure that they can be on this call, so we'll do a full debrief next week, and hopefully we'll have some perspective from others. I also want to make sure we do a little bit of follow-up on the video contest from last week, Robert Stover's feedback. Also, I had posted a 2-minute video with Wally Elderberry this morning. We had lunch, and I was asking him, what's your big takeaway from Sales Mastery? And you think you're going to like it. It's definitely a productivity mastermind topic. And Jen, do you have anything you want to make sure we talk about today?
I don't. I'm closed-mouthed today. I'm just going to listen in and chirp when I need to.
Well, Todd and I were actually going to ask you if you could just run the call, and we're
going to go downstairs.
Well, I can. We can talk about anything anybody wants to. But I don't have anything. I don't have anything that I'm looking forward to talking to specifically. But I'm happy to help anywhere.
Okay. No problem. So we do have a good crew on today's call. Todd and I are just kind of going through.
Looking at the list.
What's up, Andrew? What's up, Drew? I haven't seen Drew on here for a while. Ed, Frank, John. I'm not going to list everybody's name because there's too many. Maybe the people that I just said their name, maybe I'm going to call on them. Rick, Gary. So, hey, I saw Rick last week at the Digital Mortgage Conference. I unmuted him. He wasn't able to talk. Rick, I've unmuted you again. Are you on the call?
I'm around. Thanks, Dave.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
You sound so good.
So you do sound good.
Yeah.
Do you, have any questions or any topics for today in our Productivity Mastermind? Anything come to mind?
No, I'm bummed I couldn't be at Sales Mastery. Just conflict of schedule, but I'm still kind of taking all into the info from Digital Mortgage and really dialing in a strategy for the next 12 months here for our team and our company. So a lot of good ideas up there, and on the borderline of intimidating in terms of where this industry is moving. So.
Yeah, well, I thought it was very impressive that you were there. You were obviously taking notes, paying attention. Do you mind, in the context of productivity, making more money in less time, anything that you could share that you took away from last week's event and how you're planning around that right now?
Well, I think it could be a long conversation, so just a quick 30-second view, I think, would be to not get lost in the technology taking away what we do, but instead finding the best technology to help us do it better and help us serve our clients better. And just get rid of the mundane stuff. That's the biggest. I see a lot of opportunity there in terms of getting rid of the menial tasks and letting us focus on the client. And the cool thing, not to be a sales guy here, but the mortgage coach philosophy really plugs in well to all of that because of the advice component of it. it just clears the doorway, I think. Really, really makes a good path to let people rely on the technology to serve and teach.
Yeah, no, well said. You weren't by any chance on this Tuesday's call with Joe Paluzzi, were you?
I was.
You were? So tell me if you had a similar takeaway. So for anybody who wasn't on that call or doesn't know who Joe is, he's been the #1 loan officer at RPM for I don't know how many years. He did 182 million in production last year.
Not bad.
Not bad. With one assistant and an assistant to his assistant. So it's not like a mega team.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And when I asked him what his CRM was, he said Outlook. And if you would have asked him last year what technology do you use to power your business, it would have been LOS, pricing engine, telephone, and Outlook. He added Mortgage Coach to his arsenal this year, and so I was interviewing him for the first time, and I think it's interesting because when I first rolled out Mortgage Coach at RPM, they're like, "Don't talk to Joe Paluzzi. He's not going to use Mortgage Coach. He's so successful. He doesn't use tech. He's never going to use it." And like I think it was like February of this year, I get a Facebook private message from him going, "Hey Dave, I think you're going to like this, but I've done 20 total cost analysis and I'm never stopping, and I love it." And the things that drove him, like his why, was that one, he's getting more millennial buyers, and he thought it would be a great way to serve them, and two, he was getting rate shopped and grinded by Wells Fargo like big bank like never before. So he adopted Mortgage Coach. But I think to your point just a minute ago, Rick, I mean, what makes him so special is just how much he connects, how curious he is about people, how much he truly likes people, and how much he really connects at a human level with his customers. It's pretty remarkable. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's exactly what I took away from the call. Is it was a good example of why technology should be used to support you, not replace you, and it just opens up so much more time in your day to make those connections. I'm noticing more and more on my TCAs I send out, they're getting 5 to 10 views, and it's not from the client looking at it to try and understand what we said. It's the fact they're sharing it with their family trusted people and maybe 1 or 2 of their advisors. It's just the perfect tool to put everybody in sync, let everybody ask questions, and then you just keep refining it. Kind of like you were talking on Wally's piece this morning that you posted. The best thing about it is people can look at this thing, see it, bring all their crew in, get some good advice, and then move into the dialing it down through the process. And like Wally referred to Kelly's process, where she fine tunes it at the end and then uses it continually in the annual reviews. It's just it's a working, living, breathing thing that keeps circling everything back to you. So it can help it build referrals.
Yeah, well, I think what's interesting about what you just said, and then I want to give Todd you a chance to comment on this, and Jen, you're next. But it's the quality of your conversation. So you're having the same conversation. Well, you're spending the same amount of time with a client, but now you're being more intentional about using language and having them share it with their planners and with other people. And now it sounds like you've 2x'd the number of people that look at your total cost analysis. And folks, that might seem like not a big deal, but that's a big deal. So, I mean, think of how many credit reports you run. Think of how many loans you do. Think of how many total cost analyses you do. And by the way, if credit report and total cost analysis, if total cost analysis is not a bigger number, then you're not using it appropriately. But then think about it, like let's just say it's 100 credit reports a year, just because it's easy math, and you were getting 200, 300 people in your market getting that experience, seeing your advice, and now you're getting 500. You doubled the number of, again, prospects, referral sources, influencers, referral partners, people by just a small little change in your language and going into your conversation with families with a little more intention. So that, first of all, Rick, that's huge takeaway for today. That just improve your language. But by the way, do you mind giving us just like a 1-minute script of when you describe a total cost analysis to a family in a way that optimizes how much it's shared? Do you mind just giving us your words a little bit here?
You're busting me for not doing my TCA video.
No, I'm trying to pull as much value out of this call for everybody on it. And I love putting people on the spot.
I do mine after the initial call, so I really tailor it to that call, where I try and pick up on something that I heard was a important point for that, or an important issue to that discussion. So I don't have like a standard script, but I do try and keep the videos to a minute 20 max, and encourage them to call me back for more follow-up questions. And I really encourage them to use it as a living document where we get on and live share it and dial it in, especially on the purchases as we're trying to figure out plans. So no, I don't have really a 1-minute script.
What do you call it? Do you call it a total cost analysis, or do you call it, like, what is the word and the language that you use for the family?
I usually default to total cost analysis just out of habit. I should probably look at getting creative and finding a nice little marketing buzzword on that, like, lifetime benefit illustration or something. Ideas welcome.
I don't think it matters what you call it. You're doing it, right? And others aren't. So I call mine a customized mortgage option.
Like it.
Customize. Here are your customized mortgage options. So, and TCA, total cost analysis.
So by the way, if everybody, I want to make sure everybody's engaged in questions, let us know what you call it. When you refer to the total cost analysis, if you call it total cost analysis, say it. If you have a term, purchase options spreadsheet, there's no right answer. I want to just find out what other folks in the community call it. So Rick, I'm going to put you back on. Well, first of all, Jen, do you have any questions or comments for Rick?
No, I think it's great that has come to the forefront now, and that you're just more aware of it. I think we all know, and one of the reasons we all love using Mortgage Coach is, one, it differentiates us, allows us to have a more intimate conversation with our clients. But I think that awareness that that's actually what's happening is really critical. I think we just go through the motions that, it's another technology, let's just use it, but to actually, and it becomes more than that for all of us that are using it. And so I think that awareness that it is still a relationship business, and it's a tool that allows us to have those more intimate conversations with people that we would never have just sending out a rate sheet. We just wouldn't, or a good faith estimate or a loan estimate. So I commend you for recognizing that and taking that to heart and then implementing it. I mean, that's the key thing, is implementation of it. Is we can go to all these fancy things that you guys are attending, but if we're not, and listen to all these interviews every day, that you offered, Dave, but if we're not implementing and taking some of these things to heart and acting on them, then they don't mean anything. So I commend you for that. I think that's wonderful that you recognize it.
Todd, anything?
I think it's great. No, and I'm not seeing it. Oh, there we go. We got a couple of people giving us what they're calling it in the.
I want to hear.
I always called it a total cost analysis, because I like that idea of sort of professionally confusing people. They had no idea what it was, but there was times where I called it an online sheet or something similar. But kind of going back to what Rick was saying and about the conversation with Wally this morning. I really liked it. Dave made me watch it before we came in, and of course, I'm always humbled when he's referencing something that I put up there. But he challenged me a couple of years ago. He had been in town, and we grabbed dinner, and I used the excuse I was doing less TCAs because my clients were getting gifts for their down payment or doing down payment assistance programs, and that they didn't really need it. And what he kind of convinced me of, one, is that I was a loser, and then after he convinced me of that, then he really gave me that idea that if you're setting people up for the annual review by showing it to them up front, that would be a game changer. And so we've instituted that on our team, that the loan officers are using it with all clients at some point, either if it's a loan where they only have one option because that's what they're getting, because that's what their financial situation is still making sure that midway through or at the end, whichever they choose to launch that client off as a client for life, that they're introducing the total cost analysis because they know that it's going to be easier than in a year when they do that annual review, that the client's already seen it, they already understand it, and it's part of that sales process to differentiate themselves and really to get the future referrals and get them going as a client for life, because I think that's the key. I heard someone on stage, I didn't bring my notes from yesterday up here, but I'm talking about how, I know I should have, thanks Dave for pointing that out.
Well, you could go get them at the break.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, we don't have a break.
But I think that the key, what he said was, as well, you know, if you do choose someone else, I really can't guarantee that they're going to manage your mortgage proactively going forward. And so he actually used that as one of his scripts to sell against the competition, which was different than I've ever sold. And I always say, well, one of the opportunities is, you know, that we're going to be giving you a mortgage review as you go forward, so that if you ever hear that interest rates have dropped, you're not wondering, hey, would this help me? You actually have the confidence to know that we've probably already reviewed it, since that normally is announced in the news in arrears. And some of those great scripts that Jen had gone over, gosh, probably about 2 months ago, that were I think some of the greatest stuff that we did. In fact, it's in the Mortgage Coach Facebook group, her script on it, and I would encourage you guys to take a look at that.
So for anyone that's not a regular here on our Friday Mastermind session, I would put it this simple. Like, if your goal is just to do a transaction, you don't need to give every family a total cost analysis. But if your goal is to optimize your conversion rate and get a referral during the time that they're in transaction, so referral during transaction, and a referral post-transaction, have a client for life, well, then not giving a total cost analysis is a big mistake. Even if, like I said, they barely qualify and they don't have options, it's like, I qualify, I get one loan. They're still, show them how they can pay off their PMI faster in program 2. Show them how they can do Dave Ramsey and, take their Starbucks habit and reduce their debt faster. Show them points versus no points. But if you don't do that, you don't have a perfect loan process. You just have a good process. And 2, you're not going to optimize your referrals post-closing and during transaction, which I think when I asked Wally Elderberry, and if you watched the 2-minute video, if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll put a link below in the description to Wally's 2-minute video. It's also in our Facebook group. I posted it before today's call. But, Wally, I asked him, and I said, I don't want it for Mortgage Coach. I just want to know, what is your big takeaway from Sales Mastery, and what are you going to start implementing next week? And he said to get one referral post-closing from every client, so that, and he goes, I have 400 customers that I do loans for. If I got 400 referrals, given my conversion rate,
200 more deals a year. I love that.
Yeah, hello.
It's interesting because there's been a couple of other keys, and I know we'll do it. We'll dig in a little bit more on Sales Mastery next week. But it was interesting. One of the statistics I heard was that 94% of loan officers do not have a daily business plan when they start their day, which I think is a huge mistake. And then the next statistic was that 91% of loan officers don't have a consistent month-over-month funding volume. So, it's not surprising that they don't if they go into it with no plan. And so I think most of the time when I talk to loan officers about doing total cost analysis, and I realize this isn't a Mortgage Coach commercial, but this is just how I feel as an originator and as a coach, that it's the time piece. And so if you actually have a plan where you just plan in doing them, they don't take very long once you've done a bunch and built out your templates. I think that's the opportunity. I was a guest on a mortgage company's sales call a couple days ago, and they wanted me to talk about how to use technology to basically do more transactions. And so Mortgage Coach is one of the tools in their arsenal. And I don't necessarily think they were expecting me to talk about that as really what I thought was the biggest opportunity they had, that and their app that they use for their loan officers, which is pretty cool. But I was really able to kind of dial in on, hey, here's the things that you can do to be more productive. Because ultimately that statistic to me was not surprising, but it's still pretty astounding that many loan officers just aren't really planning what they're doing in any given day. They're just reacting all day, which is I think the biggest problem that people have of hitting their potential.
Yeah, no doubt. So we're 20 minutes into this call. I'm going to kind of wrap a bow around, let's just say, the debrief on digital mortgage. It probably went someplace that a lot of people didn't think it would go, but I do think it's where it went is it's an important conversation, that we have to assume everything that can be automated will be automated. Right. And the way you win today and in the future is to optimize you. Your presence when you're meeting with a family. Have a great conversation. Be curious about them. have love in your heart. I want to get to know these people. I want to know their 10-year goals. And then I want to do a mortgage transaction with them. So I think that's important. Also, I do want to shine a light on the fact that I interviewed Garth Graham here in my suite. Garth is one of the consultants with Stratmore. He's on every stage, consults with all the largest lenders. He was the founder of Mortgage.com back in the .com days. So, I mean, here's a guy who's been an innovator forever. To me, one of the smartest guys in the mortgage industry. When I have questions about tech, about process, about just about anything, I always like, Garth, what do you think? And so I interviewed Garth for 10 minutes, sitting back there, not yesterday, the day before. And it's in our YouTube channel. I'll make sure it's in our group. But anybody that's interested at a pretty high level. I mean, it was while we spoke to loan officers, we also were speaking to CEOs, CTOs, the mortgage leaders who create the tech stacks that loan officers use. So check that out. So Rick, before I put you on mute, is there anything else you want to add to the conversation?
No, I would let you guys move on to maybe sales mastery stuff. I just wanted to thank you just for spending the time up at Digital Mortgage, because it's great being around you. It's great hearing you think and throw out ideas, and it's always inspiring. So appreciate the time, Dave.
Yeah, no, it was good seeing you, bro. And by the way, kudos to you for being there and figuring out how to maximize technology within your platform. I'm always impressed to see you there. So look forward to seeing you next year.
I did like that. I wrote it down. Use tech to support you, not replace you. I think that was awesome, because one of the other things that the Stratmore guy said was that relationship with the loan officer was actually the #1 thing that created client satisfaction at the end. And so, I mean, keep that in mind as you guys build out your process and think through digital and how that's going to impact it. They really care about you. And so I like that idea of using tech to support you any way that you can actually speed up the process, speed up a conversation is going to help you improve it, but you got to keep that personal touch in there.
Yeah, no doubt. So I'm going to randomly, I've gone through some folks. No one's raised their hands. So remember, guys, this is a mastermind. I mean, I think Todd, myself, and Jen, we could talk at you all day long. But the more this can be an organic conversation where you're, one, asking questions, and two, if someone wants to share a success story, because I have got a lot of feedbacks that this call that we do on Fridays is awesome, because of the people that we're bringing into it and the conversations they're having. But it's only awesome because of the community, and when you participate on this call, you ask a question, you put that answers in questions, that's value. And when you raise your hand and ask a question, that's value. So Nicole Francis, Nicole, can you unmute?
You've been empowered.
Hey, Nicole. One more chance, Nicole.
Not going green yet.
All right. We tried to bring you into the conversation, Nicole. Let's see. Who else can we bring in before we just start? I haven't heard from my old buddy, Drew Beveridge, for a long time. Hey, Drew. How you doing, buddy? Gosh, this is a power user for Mortgage Coach for more years than I can count. Drew, one more chance to bring you into the conversation. All right, so people are either hiding out or they're not effectively using their technology. Probably a little bit of both.
Who wants to raise their hand and volunteer?
All right, hey, we got Lance.
All right, we're down on you, Lance.
Hey, Lance, pal, man, don't let us down. Can you talk, Lance? Dave Savage here. I've unmuted you. Well, I don't think it's ever happened where 3 times we called on three different
strikes,
people.
That's
okay. Well, we're gonna go out. Fortunately, we always come prepared with talking points. So if no one in the community asks a question, brings up a talking point, we're ready to roll. Todd, I'll throw that ball to you. What of your topics that you want to talk about today? Where do you want to take it?
Well, I mean, I'd go back to the thing I talked about having a plan for your day, right? So, let's just go back to productivity 101, right? Which is where this call started with insane productivity, is really thinking through, if you're not going to be intentional about what you're going to do, how is that? So I would love it if any of you guys have a strategy that you're using to plan out your time. So there was someone on stage yesterday, and she said, all starts for her by doing a 2-hour jam session on Sundays to plan out her week so that when she gets going, she rocks and rolls. And she's someone who was, increasing her business. Everyone who was on stage in this particular panel was like the Women of Excellence panel, had either already surpassed by August their numbers from last year, and one of the people on stage was already double their business from last year. And so for her, that was, again, a key takeaway, that she was planning out her week after seeing this statistic the day before where people just aren't actually planning at all. And so I wonder, if someone else here can sort of talk through, what they're doing, because I think the jam session piece is really important. And if you're not looking at it, most people don't look at it every day. I set my intentions at the beginning of the week, either Sunday or Monday morning at the latest, for, hey, here's what I've got going, here's what my day looks like. And then in the morning, I can get up, just take a quick peek at what I had on the calendar already. And then it's not interfering with me getting going. Because as I continue to watch people on stage, and they've had a really wide range, and I don't know if you've seen this, but they've had a couple of the $100 million producers on there, but they've had a lot of $20, $30, and $40 million producers.
Which I think is cool.
Yeah,
I like it.
I think it's really cool, and a lot of them are really transparent. I was sort of laughing this morning. I was watching the team panel before I zoomed up here to Dave Sweet, and the first guy's like, I'm running it off my spreadsheet. We don't close every deal on time, and I love this transparency. I don't know that Todd was necessarily expecting that he had someone up there who wasn't going to talk about how great they were doing, but I think it was a good coaching opportunity for them from on stage, and he talked about how he's built his team and how that's starting to change things, and how everyone's got a plan every day for what they have to do. And so, I did enjoy that part of it, because he said, since everyone has a plan specifically of what it is that they're going to do, when there is a transaction that goes sideways, we know exactly who it is within the organization that needs to improve that part up in order for us to make it better, make it improved going forward. So I don't know if we see any hands up, but what do you think about that, Jen?
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, because this has been the hot button. I mean, it's been a hot button for a really long time, right? But it has been a major hot button in the last couple of days with my coaching clients. We're revisiting this thought about time blocking, and, how do we really dive in and figure out how to schedule our day and then actually do what we've scheduled. It's not, so what was happening, I was coaching someone, and he said, Coach, I think I'm so wrapped up in the process of having a process that he's getting, lost in it. And he coaches with someone that, a lot of people know, a company that a lot of people know that requires a lot of phone calls every day. But he's not slowing down to speed up. He's speeding up to speed up. And the goal is to get through the 20 or 30 phone calls a day and not really enjoy his time as he's going through that process, right? And so he's overwhelmed by the fact that he has to make these many phone calls. And I said, you really don't have to, at your point, at his stage in his business, he really doesn't have to make that many phone calls every single day. So I said, well, what if we took some of those off the plate and kind of calmed things down, and we had real intentional phone calls as opposed to number gathering phone calls, And so the reason I say that is that, if you're challenged by this whole concept of I can't fit everything into my time blocks, my time and my day, you might be trying to do too many superficial things and not enough intentional activities. And I've said that before too, is, when you go home at night and you're exhausted, it's typically because your activities were like eating soup with a fork, right? You're just going through the motions. And that's really what happened to him yesterday. I said, you are eating soup with a fork. You're doing all the activities because you're checking off boxes and filling out forms and stuff, but that's not what, your business is about. It's more about being intentional in what we do. And, I mean, I can only speak from my 34 years of experience. Everything I do is very intentional. I'm not quick to react. I'm not quick to take things on. I am quick to implement what I choose to, but I think it's really important that we constantly be identifying, what Darren says in our core values, what's our three, what Tim says in our 3 MIGs, right, our massive impact goals. But I always bring it down to the trifecta. I call it the trifecta of triumph, which is doing what you do really well, doing what you absolutely love, and doing what makes economical sense for your business. And everything else is not effective. It's just not effective. So, it's that whole stop, start, and keep. What should I stop doing? What should I start doing that's more intentional? And what should I keep doing that's working, right? So it's a real big issue for everyone. And I walked in the office today, and one of the loan officers here at the office said, you know, I'm really trying to do this time blocking. I've got my first and tens down. I'm doing that. And now he's sitting in his office writing note cards. And I said, that's great. That's great. And he goes, but I'm still challenged by it. And so everyone's really, really challenged by this concept of actually managing the priorities. You know, it's not time management. It's managing your priorities. Not everything is a priority. You know, I think that we think everything is a priority, and so it's really isolating and saying what really is important to my business. What's really, really going to make a difference and have a significant impact in me moving the needle on my business every day. Coupled with the fact that I want to have a life of quality, not a quality life.
Love it.
Wow,
Right?
that was a powerful conversation you guys just had. I'd be curious. I'm going to push a poll question real quick, and know how many jam session folks did this past week. Jen, what about you? How many jam sessions for you this past week?
If I looked at my calendar, I know I did at least 4, and 2 of them were 2 hours long.
Okay, Todd, what about you?
You know, I was here at Sales Master. I did just 2. I did 1 on the plane. I did 1 when I got here. And other than that, I've been face-to-face with people the whole time I've been here.
I'm so jealous.
So
I love airplane rides for jams.
It's an auto jam session.
I love it.
Well,
Yeah.
and luckily for me, Dave was in the back, and I was in the
Thank
front.
God.
I didn't have that problem of him interrupting me.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
right. So folks, only 30% of you have voted. Again, this is a mastermind, and I'll say it again, the more everybody engages in this conversation, whether it's participating in a poll, whether it's answering a question, and I'm hopefully going to have a hand raised pretty soon with a question or an engagement. So come on, we're just about 50%, so half of you are either multitasking right now, or just not following along here. So I'm surprised how many folks don't know what a jam session is, but
Let's spend a couple minutes and talk about it, because that's what I love about this call, that we have a lot of newbies. So for those who don't know, Dave and I started doing this call
A little over a year ago.
I think this is going to be number 51 or something.
We did it with a bunch of mentors, Jen and Dave Gallegos, who's ironically here at Sales Mastery. And it was just it was a great group of folks, and we really focused around these productivity concept of Darren Hardy's insane productivity, the compound effect, and sort of what he does. And so the cool thing about that is one of the things he talks about is a jam session, which in my coaching I call on time, where it's you work on your business, right? It's where you unplug, and by unplugging, you're doing these activities that are really most important to you to drive your business forward, as opposed to just sitting there and reacting, right? I mean, if you think about it, if you come in first thing and you open up your email box and you just start replying and responding and replying and responding, right? You're on that hamster wheel. Or I took a note there, you're eating soup with a fork. I like that one. Instead, doing a jam session is unplugging, right? Sitting back and saying, okay, what is the most important thing I need to work on for my business? Is it work on my annual client review process? Is it work on a better script for when I take a new lead? And is it working on a better script when someone's applied to get them to send in all their documentation? And so it's working on your business and having that time where you're blocked, where no one can bug you, where most people start off in isolation, right? So that's why I said the airplane was a super easy place to do it, because there was no one there to bug me. And then you get good at it, and you can do it in your office, right? So Jen in her office today could put up a sign on the door that says, I'm in a jam session. Everyone knows why she's doing it, and then they're going to support her and not bug her. But you really got to start out. You can start out in 30-minute chunks. Darren suggests 60 minutes to 2 hours, which is hard for most of us, right? We're a little too borderline ADD. To do that in our world. But if you start out small and grow, I think you've got a great opportunity to do that. So hopefully that helps those of you who don't know what a jam session is. And you'll hear it. Dave always has me close out this with my tips, and I always say, if people are tired of it, I say, best time to do a jam session is right after this call, right? Make the list of all your ideas. I mean, you should have a notebook out, right? I'm here, and I'm taking notes as we're rolling, and then you should be sitting down afterwards and taking those notes and putting it into action. So that would be my normal rant about jam sessions and on time, and how you guys should be approaching these calls.
The only thing I want to add on to that, and then Jen, I'll give you a round, is that we did determine, again, this whole thing was born from Darren Hardy's Insane Productivity, but it's with Mortgage Coach. So, what's right for a speaker, a CPA, a realtor isn't necessarily right for a lender. So we agreed as a community that prospecting. Now, not when you're just kind of like, I'm making a call here and I'm making a call there and I'm responding to an email, I'm taking outside calls. That's not a jam session. You need to be closed off, no alerts, nothing is going to get in your way. But prospecting, the way Josh Metal, if you haven't listened to the call from a few weeks ago, 5 Traits of a Millionaire Mortgage Professional, the way they prospect, which is one of his 5 traits, that's a jam session. Also, you know, something like learning a new piece of technology, whether it's Mortgage Coach, it's your CRM, where you need to, you know, level up your skills and your habits, that's a jam session.
Yeah.
The newest skill that I'm working on right now, and I propose everybody works on the same skill, and I'm doing it very intentionally, is I am, you know, we have this mobile phone, and the voice to text, the ability to use Siri and use audio commands in your life is insane. You know, I've got an Alexa at home, and I've used it casually and ad hoc for a year now, but I am convinced that flash forward 3-5 years from now, the way that we engage technology as humans is going to be voice. We're going to talk to our phone, we're going to be talking to our refrigerator, you know, and what we can do today is amazing. And so I'm upgrading my skills in a very intentional way. I do recommend everybody does that. You know, again, why are we here? I want to make more money in less time. I want to be as productive and efficient as I can be as a human being, and upgrading that skill is one of the things I'm working on. So anyways, Jen, any thoughts?
So you know, you in the past, you all have asked me, you know, very detailed how I lay out, you know, jam sessions, and how inside of a jam session I have an agenda for that jam session. And you know that I love compartmentalizing things. So usually my jam session is only going to be one specific topic. So recently what I did is, to make it even better for me, is each jam session is now, remember when oh gosh, what you just mentioned him with the 5 millionaire.
Josh Metal.
Josh, I couldn't think of it, I had the M mixed up. Josh, you know, you were showing, and we were all kind of showing on our phone, how we have these different segmented apps, you know, and it's growth apps and health and, you know, mind over matter and things like that. I have mind, body, and soul. I'm Catholic, so I have a Catholic portion that has a bunch of Catholic stuff in it. So I thought, well, let me do that with my jam sessions as well. So what I did is each of my jam sessions are now dedicated to ensuring that, so it's not just that I'm going, you know, I think I might need a little more technology, so I think this one jam session should be on me leveling up my technology and learning how to talk to Alexa in my house, right? Which, by the way, it's really fun to ask her how to bury a body. It's really fun. She has a really interesting response.
Can't wait to get to try that.
Yeah, that's interesting that that's a question that you were asking Alexa.
I digress. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what I started doing is saying.
Recorded, Jen.
Yeah, I know. What I started doing is saying, you know, that this jam session was going to be for my personal development. The next jam session was going to be for my professional development. Another jam session is for my team development. And in fact, when we're done today, while we were sitting here, my assistant came in and put a little note saying, just remind you that we have a jam session together today at 1:15, and we have it from 1:15 to 4:45 today. It's a really long one. We're taking a look at our systems development. And so we're looking to make sure as we go into the next year that everything that we have in Salesforce and, you know, my CRM, but my entire perfect loan process is exactly what I want. So we're adding videos, we're dissecting all that right now and going through it. So maybe, and so Josh does the same thing by saying, segmenting, right? But he does the same thing by saying that one of his jam sessions is his lead generating activities, right, his prospecting. So maybe that would help everyone if we started saying, well, what is it that I need in my business and in my personal life, and now have jam sessions that are called that. So this is the personal development jam session, personal growth, professional growth, team growth, systems, technology jam session, and maybe have that as part of it, so we make sure that we're covering all aspects of our business. Maybe it's a marketing jam session, maybe it's a essential knowledge jam session where you're learning more products or some new products that were brought on. Maybe isolating it that way a little bit better would help people do more jam sessions.
I love that, Jen.
I think that's awesome. And real quick, just to give you guys sort of what Josh is, when I say you kind of have to isolate yourself, the way that Josh's team does it, it's mandatory for everyone on the team. It's 2 hours every single day. And they've gone as far as everyone's cell phones are forwarded to the receptionist. So they can't even get a phone call at their desk from somebody. They've turned off those distractions. And so when she answers the phone, you know, her script is Josh is currently assisting a client, because he's working in that. And then the only way that they would put that client through, if they said, oh, I just missed Josh's call, then certainly Josh was proactively calling that person and wants to hear from that client. And so he's gone as far as just to make it so that the distractions are away. They don't work in their email outbox or inbox. They work in the sent folder. So if they're sending emails, they can't see. They've turned off the number of emails that are on there that are showing, so they've got no little, like Dave here had his up before, and he had like 59 unread emails, and I think it was disturbing him, so he had to turn it off. If you look at my laptops over here, I have all those things turned off. My email's on, but I can't see all the emails that have come in. So they've turned that off, and they work in the sent items. So when they're calling Dave up, because Dave's one of their prospects, leaving him a voicemail, then they're going to send him an email afterwards, which again, they're using technology. It's going to come out of their CRM typically, but if they're going to custom type it, they're in their sent items, so they can't see those incoming emails, so they're not reacting. And then once they get done at 11 o'clock with that jam session, then they can go into the inbox, they can check their personal cell phones for texts, and then they can start reacting to all of that stuff. But they've done their most critical task, which on Josh's team is lead generation first. And so think about that from a jam session is, all right, are you getting all your lead calls done today? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, it's probably because you were busy reacting, and you get to just say, this is a priority, and I'm only going to do this until it's done.
Yeah, we do the same thing and have done that for years. We've, you know, because I'm so big on time blocking, when I'm in a jam session, so are my team members doing things, and when we leave that and we come out into the hall, something that I have done is now a task, I can delegate those to one of my mortgage planners or my production partner, and their next jam session is then following up on those things that I just did. But that's, I mean, I'm talking very detail oriented. This is because I'm retentive about all this, but we all move together as a group all day.
Love it. So this has been a powerful conversation. By the way, Lazar wanted to let you know, Jen, that he's loving your book and he's halfway through it.
Thank you, Lazar.
Yeah, and by the way, I had a couple people make reference of your book today. Well, not today, the past 3 days. Hey, tell Jen I read her book and I love it.
Oh, that's so nice.
I was having fun with someone, and the husband mentioned, oh, my wife has that book on our stand right now, and she's reading it. So, kudos to you, Jen.
Thank you.
Anybody that's unfamiliar with Jen's book, could you tell everybody the title and where to get it?
Yeah, it's called Launch: How to Take Your Business to New Heights, and the other subtitle is Stop Talking, Take Action.
So important.
That's what it's about.
Awesome book, and congrats on your success as an author.
Thank you.
It's cool to see the impact that you're making.
Thank you.
So someone else just asked if these calls are recorded. I just started sharing my screen, so if you are multitasking, take a look at the screen right now. I'm going to, one, give a few homework assignments, and two, do a debrief on the call, because we're at the 15-minute mark. We've got 15 minutes left. By the way, it's not too late to raise your hand or post a question and go to
webinar. We would love that.
Yeah. By the way, Andrew Adams earlier, when we were asking, hey, how are you positioning mortgage coach for your clients? He does it this way. Take a look at the total cost analysis I prepared for you. Super simple.
Pretty straightforward.
but
whoever knew. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, language matters. Be intentional about everything that you do. So by the way, Todd, we didn't celebrate it, but last week was our 52. By the way, there's 52 weeks in a year.
Really?
So that means
we took a couple weeks off.
Did we?
We did. We took right. A lot of Fridays we had to take off early on. We weren't quite as committed as we are now.
So we're past a year by
a
month or so, because that's right. We did take some weeks off when we transitioned from this is exclusively for the Insane Productivity Program.
That's everyone else.
Yeah. So, but anyways, for more than a year we've been doing this, and this is our 53rd recording. You'll notice that they're in the YouTube channel, and I'd say for some time now I've been pretty intentional about labeling them. Like last week, I didn't label it because it was a follow-up conversation. It wasn't I didn't have a guest. It wasn't a specific topic. But the week before, we had Kelly Zitlow, and we talked about if you were a loan officer, which most of you are, should you have a YouTube channel? Watch that if you don't know. And how? What are the how-tos to having a great YouTube channel? Check out Kelly. Week before, we had Josh Metal, one of America's top loan officers. His goal is 1,000 families a year. And he talked about what he thinks the 5 traits of the millionaire mortgage professional were. By the way, one of the all-time best interviews I've ever been part of. The week before that, we had Jen. We talked about her book and just the world according to Jen. The week before that, Robert Stover, Breakthrough Formula. So yeah, they're recorded. I
try to make my head as big as Dave's. Look at that. That's like,
yeah. Right.
Here we go. All right, there we go.
But I'm going to close out talking about one last week's call because there's still a video contest going on. So Robert Stover did a debrief. We're doing this referral magnet video contest. And for anyone who doesn't know what that means, I invented referral magnet video contest, just came up with it.
It's awesome.
But the premise and the idea is could you make more money in less time, which is why we're all here, if you were able to create a 1-minute, 2-minute video that you could send to your past customers, you could send to your referral partners, they would watch it, and they'd send you an email or give you a call saying, hey, would you make a total cost analysis for me? It would generate leads, referrals. And so we went down and started doing that. Since then, it's just been a whirlwind of value. The quality of the interviews, first of all, for anybody who wants to see any of the actual videos created by the Mortgage Coach community, we have a playlist. So if you just click on playlist, and it's called Referral Magnet Video Contest. So this is 25 videos that have been created by other mortgage professionals. So all of these videos are from mortgage professionals, people that are part of this mastermind. Like, I don't think any of these people have not been on a Friday call, and it's their attempt. So Jenny Stoner won the first one. And again, if you want to hear why she won and what are the best practices, listen to that interview with Stover last week. And we've got new ones. Like just a couple days ago, Frank Blakely with Bay Equity submitted something. In 25 seconds, they created a video that's like, customer's going to call for a referral. So I do want to, shine a light on this because I do think this contest and this project is a great way to make more money in less time. I believe every mortgage coach loan officer should have a couple videos that are designed to get a past customer, a realtor, some type of partner to refer them, refer a client with the ask of, I want a total cost analysis. So I look forward to seeing more participation from the community, and highly recommend anybody that's on this call that hasn't watched these that they check it out.
So I have a quick question. Are we planning to go back to everyone and find out what the results are? Because what gets measured gets done, right? So are we going to go? I mean, right?
What a great idea.
Yeah. So are we going to go back to everybody and just see how it has impacted their business? Are we planning to do that? I think it would be great.
I have asked that question a couple times, but the way you just asked the question, I had not put a process around that. And thank you, Jen. That is a great idea. And I have just added that to my to-do list. Okay. That we will go back to all of these folks and find out, how many leads did you get? And while the judges that I had do the video contest, we gave our thoughts. We thought the best one were. The best one is the one that gets the most results.
Absolutely.
Period. Yeah, who cares what I think? Who cares what we think? The customer is, we all work for the customer. So Jen, boom. Thank you for that. So just to be clear, if you're on this call, you need to create a video and participate in this contest. Jen, can we count on you for a video?
Yeah, I actually, as I told you, excuse me, as I told you, I just bought those big things because I don't like how dark it is in here. I bought those big things so I can get lights in here and do it. But I'm stoked about doing it. I am. I'm going to do two, actually. I'm going to be doing two. I'm going to do one that's off the cuff, And I'm going to do one where I make sure that I talk about things that I really think are important, because I think there's an intentional way to do this, and then there's an off-the-cuff that's a more authentic way to do it, and I want to kind of see which one gives me better results.
Love it. I can't wait to hear the results, in the videos. And really, there's as this project has kicked off, we've learned that, hey, there's videos around stories, and there's multiple stories that you want to tell past customers. There's videos that you create for referral partners, like realtors and financial planners. And then we've also learned that there's a lot of great videos that they're not really referral magnets, but they're videos that you'd want to have within your perfect loan process to position a customer around, hey, this is how I do business. And Mortgage Coach is just a part of that, but it's call it a perfect loan process video. So we're seeing a lot of cool stuff. So we got 9 minutes left, and Greg Prete has raised his hand. What's up, Greg? Greg,
are you there?
That's 4. All right. Well, Greg is, one, used to work for Mortgage Coach, and 2, is just one of the most amazing people in our industry. Greg, thanks for raising your hand. I'm sure there's just some tech issue on your side. I'm going to go ahead and lower your hand. If you can jump back in, or you want to raise your hand again, and you figure out the tech, let me know, and we will bring you back into the conversation. And I'm looking for anybody else.
So one interesting thing on the video, again, and we'll get the guys who are here to unpack it next week, is that it was interesting as I was sitting here thinking about Dave talking about the contest. Video has been a big part of the conference. They're talking about how video is the future and how it's one of those things that's going to personalize your process. And it was interesting as I was thinking about it, is as I said earlier, there's lots of $20, $30, and $40 million producers, and I've heard them on stage. And then I've also heard $100 million producers on stage, and the people who doubled their business from $20 to $40 million. And all of those people who have had tremendous growth and who are those top producers, every one of them has a video strategy, and they talked about it from the stage. Not to say that the other people don't, but they never mentioned it. So maybe some of them do, but I can tell you that the people who have actually really shot their business up have it as part of their process, whether it's a realtor referral strategy, whether it's a in the process update strategy. One of them, a couple of them actually talked about how to use Mortgage Coach in there, and that's part of their strategy. So that was kind of cool for my buddy Dave here as well. But it was just kind of an aha that came to me there. So just be thinking about that, is where you can use it in your process. And the fact is a lot of the people that we talked to who have submitted videos for Dave's contest said they've just never done it before, and it's kind of pushed them to do it. So I would consider maybe pushing yourself to do that and scheduling that as a jam session next week. Today.
Yeah, love that. So I do want to shine a light on the fact that next Tuesday, I think all of our Tuesday calls are pretty amazing because we have amazing people. But next one I think is going to be especially amazing. It's going to be a mastermind on how to do a home buyer's workshop.
Nice.
So I don't know, a couple of months ago, it got on the radar that was going to make more money in less time with Mortgage Coach, do home buyer workshops. And so I actually think I posted online saying, hey, who is the best? And Dan Keller's name came up a lot, and Dan Keller is going to be on the call. John Thomas. John was really not on my radar. He's on the East Coast, and I think out of Delaware, and he's been doing these for like 8 years, just killing it. Christine Beckwith with Annie Mac does a lot of these. So these were people that were nominated from the community at Mortgage Coach, and we're just going to mastermind. We're just going to talk around what are the, why do you do them? How do you do them? So if you have an interest in learning how to do that at a really high level, don't miss next week's call. Also, if you have a question that you'd like me to ask one of these folks, I haven't built out all the questions I'm going to ask yet, and I'm going to do that over the weekend. I've got a jam session before my family wakes up on Sunday or Saturday to prepare for next Tuesday's call. So if you want me to consider a question that you have, get it to me today because it's 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. I'm going to pretty much
can you post that question on Facebook?
Well, that's really smart, Jen. Always leading us with the good.
Go for it, Jen.
You want me to post it? Okay.
Yeah, you mind? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm at Mastery, and we're literally going to have to jump from this call down into the thick of it. But if you have a question for next week's Mastermind, check it out. Make sure you listen to Wally's 2-minute video this morning, this rant from Wally Elderberry. Win by Noon is killing it here.
Dude, we're having fun.
Congratulations.
Oh, I should have put your shirt on.
I know, that's all right.
Maybe
That's all
put it
right.
on
I got the
real
new T-shirt on though, so
Yeah. I'm gonna wear your shirt today. I'm gonna put it on. But yeah, it's been amazing. The impact you're creating. I mean, it's amazing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So if you're new to, go ahead, Jen.
No, I say congratulations twice. That's all. Just congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, and if you don't know what Win by Noon is, I did a call with Todd where that was the centerpiece. Go look at it below, or just go to winbynoon.com. Check it out. Also, Todd does have a group, just like we have our Mastermind group here on Facebook. Todd's got a Win by Noon group. Highly recommend. Every mortgage coach member is part of that community. We're big fans here. So let's hunt for questions. Jen, as we wrap up today's call, any advice for everybody? 1 minute, quick hit.
Yep. I would just say, you know, as you're trying, since we're going to talk about this plan and jam sessions and stuff, you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single week with your jam sessions and your plan and your schedule. If you can just use one jam session to lay out what your week looks like in time blocks for jam sessions, then you won't have to make any more adjustments to it. You'll always have a place where a placeholder where you can put what you want to do into a digital reminder inside of a jam session. Instead of going, well, oh, I got to remember to do this, and when can I put a jam session in? So just, you know, create a template in your Outlook that has your jam sessions in it, and your lead generating calls, and your meetings, and your networking. Get it all in there, and do it one time. Set it and forget it, and then just fill it in as you come up with ideas and have ideas that you want to act on. So that's what I would say is, like, spend the weekend doing that.
Love that, Jen. And the way I usually do it is I get a jam session idea, I schedule it, and then I add ideas in the meeting notes. You know,
Correct.
I love that idea. Todd, 1 minute, last thoughts for everybody.
1 minute last thoughts. I'm busy taking notes, so I wasn't necessarily planning it out. But I always say it, right? Do your next jam session now. So take what Jen just said and let's make that actionable by getting off this call. And even if you're like, I don't have time for it, that's okay. Spend 5 minutes, right? But really what you want to do is spread that out to 15, 25, 30 minutes and really think through what is that brain dump of the things that I've said I was going to do that I haven't implemented. Because ultimately, you heard Jen say before, there's so many of us that get busy reacting and running around that we don't actually implement the things that are really important to grow our business. And so that could be just taking 2 minutes to record a quick raw video to throw into Dave's competition. It could be taking the time to actually go through and say, okay, what else is it I don't do? Like, hey, Wally's idea on annual client reviews is great. How can I implement that? And start writing out those steps. And so I think really once you get off of this call, I said it before, but take the time to figure out how to implement those things. And if you just don't spend the time now, what's the likelihood you're going to do it? Unless you've got something like Dave has planned, right? He knows where he's going to be tomorrow morning doing that. But if you haven't planned those things out and work through the time blocking thing, it's going to be a challenge.
Love it. So someone is new to the group. They asked about how to get to be in the Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, do a search for Mortgage Coach. It's called Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind. And we have a couple other groups, so be part of those. My less than 1 minute advice is schedule a jam session to create a video for the referral magnet contest. And have an amazing weekend. Jen, thank you for making time to bring value to this community.
Absolutely.
Super grateful for you.
Thank you.
Always fun to hang out with you guys. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, take care, everybody.